Alright, my name's Dejager, guys. One of the things we've been doing over the last 12 months is really having a good listen to what everybody's got to say. That's as loud as I go. So if everyone's super quiet, you'll be able to hear me. There's been some very consistent complaints about the way drift events are run, the way judging systems are run, and these issues just haven't really been able to be fixed in the past. So we've made some very significant changes. But one of the things that I'd like to comment on is the fact that even the most perfect system in the world is not perfect for everybody. And by what I mean by that is, let's be honest, who here is here to win today? Okay. Now, hand up, put your hand up. And that represents the amount of people that will actually win today. One person, that's it. So under the old system, one person won. Under my system, we still only have one winner. But the problem is we've got more people who want to win that's actually going to win at the end of the day. So we know that with 56 drivers, 55 of you are going to end your day on a loss. So you kind of have to accept that and expect that from the beginning. Do your best, try and have the best day, but when you lose, it's not necessarily the judge's fault. The only way to really solve it is if we start giving out first place trophies to everyone just for entering. Yeah. All of a sudden people are happy with that. Okay. So the reality is you have to try and find a win today other than just the first place trophy. What that means is if you win a battle today, that's a good thing. If you learn something throughout today, that's a good thing. If you lose your battle but you know what you did wrong and you know what you're going to do better next time, then that's a good thing. If you go out in the expression session and smash it, that's great. But just don't say to yourself that the only way to have a good day is to take the first place trophy, because for most of you it's just not going to happen. Don't get me wrong, try and get it, but this is the attitude I'd like you to have from today. One of the main reasons why people disagree with judges is just viewpoint. If anybody's ever seen a dashcam video on Facebook and then read the comments, it's the same video and nobody can agree what just happened. It's exactly the same with drifting. Even though we've seen what we've seen, you guys have seen something else, and even if we saw the same thing, we still disagree on what has actually happened. So the trick to this is to actually listen to what we're saying in the briefing and try and replicate that rather than what we're expecting to do for ourselves. Now the other thing is this. One of the things that I do whenever I'm competing is I go and stand where the judges are standing. What this is going to do for you is see which parts of the track are most important. At any point in the track where two cars are facing the judges, it's very easy to see the distance between them. That becomes a really important part of the track for proximity. And so turn one is a brilliant example where the moment you both flick in, we can see the proximity perfectly. And if you're just even a car length back, it's going to look terrible. But the moment we flick into the second corner, the hairpin, because you're both going away from the judges, between 1 metre to 2 metres, we really can't tell that well. So for me, I'd be sacrificing a little bit of proximity there so that I could then suck up nice and close, because as they come around the hairpin, they're now facing the judges again, and that's where you want to hit the proximity. So it's not about just trying to make it the best proximity for the whole track, it's understanding where the judges can actually see it and evaluate it, and where you can kind of get away with a little bit. Now, in terms of the actual battle system, for those of you that have seen it online, one of the biggest issues, and I will say this has come from Kevin Flynn's constant complaining of the old system, I've paid my money, I've done a qualifying lap, and now I'm going home. That's not a great system. You're effectively paying for all of the other guys to start battling, and you get to watch them, but you don't really learn anything from that. So what we've done is we've changed it to a system where you're all qualified. Literally right now you've all qualified, and what we've done is given you a pre-qualifying order. It's not perfect in terms of some of you may feel like you should be a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but your first battle is going to be with somebody somewhere around your level. So what we've done is that we've literally got the bottom 8 guys will battle the next 8 guys, who then battle the next 8 guys, and we just keep going until we get to the top 8 guys, who are the top 8 from last year. The best of the best are the ones that rise to the top. They then get to battle those guys, and we turn it into a traditional top 16 from there. There's a few main benefits to this system, but the biggest one is this. Under the old system, you've worked really hard, you've done a couple of rounds and you haven't qualified, you've been out there, you've been practicing, and today's the day you first qualify. You've just qualified 32nd, and you're pretty excited. Who's your first battle with? All right, all of a sudden we've got a Tom Sabo, a Cuda, and you've got to beat that guy And so we have this opinion that the only way you can do it is not just to drive at 100%, but you've got to do 150% just to keep up with him. The chances of you spinning in that battle is almost guaranteed, and that's why most top 32 battles are decided by spins. Whereas now, you're battling somebody on a similar level. So it's no longer about pushing beyond your limits. The idea is, I just have to beat that guy. I have to not spin. The other side of things is if you're battling one of these top guys straight up, they've got a mega car and you don't. So now there's a lot of incentive to build a mega car for your first top 32 battle. Whereas under this system it doesn't happen. If you've got a relatively stock 180, you'll be battling somebody with a relatively stock S14 or something like that. That way you're not pushed to build these mega cars on day one. So under this system, we're really hoping that people adapt and push themselves and actually get to learn something from that battle rather than having these impossible battles straight up. Now, in terms of the battle tree, one of the benefits that has come to light in the last couple of days is this. Under the old system, when you're watching practice, you pretty much had to watch everybody. You don't know who you're going to battle. So you watch a little bit of everybody, maybe you make some notes. Under this system, because everybody is pre-qualified, we already know who you're battling today. And I'll give you an example of this. Who is number 79? All right, we have 79. Who's number 23?
Yep.
All right, you two are battling straight up. Okay, now who's number 324? All right, you're battling one of those two people. Whoever wins out of that will be battling you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing this for everybody. But who's number 100? I would suggest you watch those three people because you'll be battling one of them. All right, so now we know who you are likely to battle. So I'm going to leave this up the front. I'll just get back to you. I'll leave this up the front here. You'll be able to actually have a look. The way it works is that everybody's in a row. If you are third one down on the next tier, third row down, that's the guy that you're likely to battle. So we know who you're likely to battle to begin with, and if you win, we know who you're battling next. So I'll suggest looking at the three people before you, the three people after you, and watch them in practice. This way, when you actually get to battle them, you know what they're doing on turn one. You know where they're making mistakes. And you should be able to actually overcome those mistakes in your battle. And so the whole point of this is to get everybody better at battling, and then at the same time giving you a better chance to really show us what you can do. In addition to the battle tree, so at the moment the only thing we put up on Facebook is the battle tree. We've also completely changed the judging system. Who can tell me what the biggest complaint from the old judging system is? Likewise. Who can tell me? Lead guy. I'm out there doing my thing, the lead car's all over the shop, and you told me you were going to penalise him in the briefing, and then you didn't. And he won. And that's pretty much universal across every competition I've done. The lead car's line and braking and speed tends to be the biggest issue. So this is the way we've done it. Under the old system, we had 3 judges watching 2 cars. And I don't care who you are, nobody can do that well. You just can't focus on 2 cars and pick up both of their mistakes. So this is the way we're doing it now. Ender and I are watching the lead car. Ender doesn't need to watch the chase car anymore, and because of that, we know that because he's watching you 100% of the time in the lead, every mistake you do, I know he's seen it. Everything that you're doing well, he's going to see it. And the way we do it is from this. Your chase lap is only ever going to be a reflection of the lead lap. Typically what happens is you've got 2, they're very similar skill sets. Now the lead car does a really good lap, and so the other guy looks really good behind it. Then they swap over. And even though the guy looked good behind, he makes some mistakes on his lead. And the other guy tries to cope with it, but he just doesn't do it well. Now under the old point system, you made mistakes and you're going home. My opinion is, you just didn't get a chance to really show us what you could do because the lead lap wasn't what it was meant to be. So this is the way we do it. As you've done your battle, we'll show you the point scoring system in a moment. We look at the first 2 lead laps. Now, if those lead laps are the same, we know that it's a fair playing field and we just judge it off of the chase laps. And pretty much, Tony and I are looking at the chase laps. So he's just doing chase. He's watching it the whole time, and if we're only judging the chase laps and we don't have to look at the lead laps anymore, it's much fairer in comparison. We're not including a wheel off here from the lead and a wheel off there from the chase. It's too hard to compare it all. So effectively, if the lead laps are the same, then we go to the chase laps and somebody picks a winner. The chance of having reruns under this are actually very minimal. without having to include so many elements, we're just judging off of chase laps. But here's where it gets tricky. If you do a good lead lap and the other guy drops his line on turn 1, he's 2-3 metres shallow, he's pretty much out, regardless of what happened on the chase laps, because he never gave you a chance to actually do what you could do. So the way to think about this system is the lead lap doesn't have to be flawless and amazing. It has to be a lead lap worth chasing. It has to be doing what we're asking you to do. Now, if we imagine that lead lap is a bit of a window, some can be a bit better, some can be a bit smaller, but as long as it's within the realms of what we're asking for, then you get into that window. But if you make a mistake in that, you drop down. And the only way to still be in it is if the other guy makes a similar mistake or a mistake on the same level. Because if the two lead laps are the same at a high level, or a medium level, or even at a low level, which we will expect in the lower levels, as long as they're the same, then the chase laps are worth judging at this point. And so the way I'd like you to think about it is our end goal for this, battling's all about the chase guy. That's what we want to be looking at. That's what we want you guys to be pushing. And so try and work with the guy you're battling with. The way to think about it is that if you're helping him look good, then you're doing exactly what you want to do and you'll get through. If he doesn't return the favour, he goes home. Now, to really help with this, we've set up a little mini chicane off of the start line. And this is another one of the issues, is that people say, people are mucking around, they're trying to get away from me, they're trying to stall me and all those sorts of things. Again, get some eye contact with the guy next to you. Work together. The better you do at making him look good, the more likely you are to win the battle. It's as simple as that. So we put in a little mini chicane, and what I'm expecting you to do, you've both got the go-ahead, get some eye contact, you're both ready to go. The lead car moves through the chicane. Under the old system, if you hit a cone, they'd reset the battle. Under my system, if you hit a cone, you effectively drop down in points. Your amazing run just got not nilled, but you drop down in points because you hit cones. It's pretty easy not to hit them. The cone system is not about giving you advantage to get through there as quick as you can. It's about getting you both out of the starting gates evenly and giving yourself both a chance. So my suggestion is the moment you get the car straight as a lead car, put your foot down. It's time to get up to speed. There's not a lot of run up on turn 1. So the moment you go through the little chicane, you've got the car straight, put your foot down, get up to speed. Now as the chase car, it is now your opportunity to predict the lead car. I know sometimes that can be difficult, but if the lead car gets through, I don't want you sitting back and then gunning it with him. You're already behind. You really should be at least next to the car so that you're either gunning together and, depending on the power of your car, sit slightly in front of them. That way as they power past you, you can pull in behind. Now in terms of your lead lap, because it is so important in this system, we've dropped down the requirements a little bit. Like I said, you don't have to set the world on fire. Just ask yourself, did you do a lead lap worth following? Was it where it was meant to be? Now, one of the clear distinctions I'd like to make here is that most people complain about the lead car's speed. And I'd like to make a very big difference between a mistake and just driving a bit slower. Here's how it works. When you're following somebody, let's imagine we've got 2 equal drivers with 2 equal cars. The lead car has a line, and the chase car, his line will be slightly shallower to sit door to door, and then slightly shallower again. So would you agree that the chase car's line is shorter? Therefore, even with 2 equal cars and 2 equal drivers, the chase car is always faster. And so if you're complaining that the lead car's slow, that doesn't tell me the lead car's slow, that tells me you can't drift slower than your car wants to go. There is different levels in drifting. You get to a point where you can drift by yourself, and this is great. Then you start drifting with your mates, and because they're a bit better than you to begin with, they're faster than you, and you can actually look pretty good behind them. And then you do a battle with a guy similar to you, and your car's now faster than he is. And we blame that guy because he's not faster than you. What I'd like you to do is go to that next level, where you can drift at your speed, you can drift a bit faster than your speed, but you can also drift a bit slower as well. Because even in a perfect world with all the same cars, the chase car is going to catch the lead car. I'd like you to show me that you have that next level of skill. If you, like I said, if you're complaining about the lead car going a bit too slow, speed him up. That just tells me you're not there yet, and it's something that you definitely need to work on.
What if the chase car can't catch the lead car?
Can't catch him?
Yeah.
He's just tearing off and he's too far away? A big part of this system is the idea that for initially we should be battling people of similar levels, but as they get up, they will get up to the faster cars. Getting through the chicane is where this now becomes an issue. So like I said, I know I'm battling you this afternoon. I'm watching you and you're fast out of the gate. I'm going to jump you on the line and actually put myself in front of you. Now, as a judge, if I see you dawdling to try and screw them up, that's it, you're out. So like I said, you go through the chicane, gun it from there, and then it's up to the chase guy to predict your speed. If you get into turn 1 and you're just disappearing on him, well, it's your faster. So the way to think about it is, I'll just come back to you. The way to think about it is your lead lap will get within what we want, so you get the full points if you like, and the chase car will then get marked down because they just didn't have the speed. But here's where it gets a little bit tricky. You just disappeared on a guy by 5 car lengths. When you swap over, if you sit 2 car lengths behind him, I'm not gonna put you through. If your car really is that fast, I want you to show me how good you can battle with a guy who's now slower than you. And so this is all about car setup. If you've set your car up to do a 5 kilometre difference in speed, a little bit too slow when it stalls, then your car's set up wrong. You should have about a 20 to 30% window where you can do your speed a bit faster and a bit slower, and that all comes down to car setup. Yep.
With the slower car chasing, when the fast car comes through the chicane, can you pull like 3 car lengths ahead? Because you know they're not trying to do what they're going to do.
Hang on, so as a chase car, you're super slow.
Yeah, so the chase car, they're going to go for the chicane, so you can pull like a heap of car lengths on it out of the gate, so they're going to shoot past you.
I'll give you an example. Josh Robinson, the first time we battled, what did I do?
You're a jerk, remember?
So what did I do?
You hit me.
Okay, yeah, that happens. I'm going to make Okay. We're getting a little... We need to actually clarify that.
It's not a track.
We need to just clarify this before this gets out of hand. We found out we were battling, and Josh comes up to me and tries to psych me out by saying, if I slow down over the jump, what's going to happen? And I said, I'll hit you. So that happened. But he had a pretty mega spec car compared to my car, so as we came around the hairpin, I put myself in front of him. He thought I was trying to overtake to take the lead. I was just making sure I wasn't left behind. Do whatever you have to do so that you're with that car on turn 1. And so if you tell me that the car left you, to a large extent that tells me you didn't watch them in practice, you didn't predict them enough, and you've let yourself down rather than them drive away on you. And with the run-up, it's not that big a run-up anyway. Yeah.
If the lead car, if the chase car just assumes it's super fast, takes off, and then you're not comfortable.
Sorry, say that just a bit.
So your lead car, you go through the chicane, the chase car just assumes you're super fast, takes off, but you're not comfortable to go past them.
So here's how it works. The way I've set it up is that the lead car is on the left-hand side. You're initially flicking to the right. So you can just go flat out and flick and you won't be hitting them. That's a whole, and so I think under some other competitions they swap them over, so you have that as an issue. Under this issue you can literally flick past them without hitting them. Yeah, so that solves that issue. Now in terms of your lead runs, like I said, you've gone through the chicane, you're now coming up to the first cone. What you'll see is that we've got a cone here which I'll pull. It's a bit of a floating cone. This is not a definitive clip. Hang on guys, come back to us. This is not a definitive clip. What I'd like you to be doing is initiating before that cone. If you're initiating well before that cone because you've got a lower speed, that's fine. But you're effectively just initiating by that cone. Your angle on initiation is, I'll say, very important. I don't want to see a massive feint. Too much angle there means you're just washing off speed. You're flicking into enough angle to load up the rear left spring so that as you flick back, the spring unloads and will flick you into the corner. We can see that very well from where we are in the judge's position. It's just enough angle to get you going, to get the car unsettled, and to flick into turn 1. Then, on the outside here, we have the cones. This is another one of those areas where I said, look at what the judges can see. The proximity to those cones can be difficult to see. So I'm going to say within 1 to 1.5 metres of those cones is a good idea. Just like in round 5, we've got the inner clip here that is spray painted. If you're a lead car and you get anywhere near that, you're pretty much going home, unless the chase car, when they swap over, does the same thing. I'd like you to be all the way out towards this outside cone here. We went out there and did some practice this morning, and I did a couple of things to see what would happen. I came into turn 1 too fast. The first thing that happens when you come into turn 1 too fast is you're off throttle all the way up until this clip, and then you power past it. If you're doing that, that tells me already that you're going too fast. So ideally, I'd like you to be on the power from here. If you have a low speed car you flick in and you're on the power the whole way through, that's not a bad thing. We've spaced these two clips a bit further out than round 5, so you flick into this next cone, so you should have a wheel near the ripple strip, a wheel near the ripple strip, nowhere near the inside, and again we have the outside clip. So it is very similar in line to what you guys were doing in round 5. It's quite a simple track, it's a lot of fun, but in terms of getting in that window of the lead lap of what you need to be doing, it should be relatively easy for everybody here. Now, in terms of your chase lap, this is where we want to be. We'd like to really know how well you can battle. Did everybody see the post that I put up about the different styles of switching?
Yeah.
All right. This is something I'm really pushing this year. One of the things I've seen in the past is that typically somebody with a fast car will switch and then drive up into the gap to get the proximity. All of the proximity you have after that, in my mind, is pretty valueless because your car gained it. You didn't. I'd like to see switches where you push into the gap, switch back, push into the gap. So you're using the momentum of the car. It is riskier, but this is why we're penalising the lead car so hard. If you're pushing into the gap and they make a big mistake, then you're still going to win anyways. I'm sure you've all seen videos of Nakamura drive. Would you agree his style is a dominating style? It's very easy to see. That's what I want to see you guys doing. I don't want to see you drifting behind them. I want to see you dominating them. I'd like to see that their lead lap is actually dictating how you're drifting behind them. If they go a little deeper, you go a little deeper. If they're dropping a little angle and speeding up, drop a little angle and speed up. One of the things that a lot of people disagree with me on is, as a chase car, do whatever you have to do to get proximity. And I don't care what that is. One of the things I hate is when you've got two cars drifting at the same speed, at the same angle, a car and a half apart. What's the point in that? So if you have to drop your angle to drive up in and then regain the angle, do that. If you have to drop your line a little bit, so again your line is shallower and therefore faster, do that. If at some point you put a wheel on a white line or a wheel on the outside, I don't care. Do whatever you have to do to get proximity and then we'll give you the points for it. The difference is this. If you have to drop your angle and line to get the proximity and then when you swap over the other guy doesn't, well he's going to win. He should. He has a better skill level. But I don't. The main thing I'm trying to do here is just get rid of this smooth, sit back, safe style. I want to see battles where people are really dominating each other. So the moment we know that both lead runs were the same, we look at your chase runs, and whoever did a better, aggressive job is going to win the battle. Any questions on that one? All right. Now, finish. We'll see it as a market. Alright guys, just one last thing. In terms of corner priority, this is the main section where you're going to get through. If you are sitting off of the lead car on turn 1, sitting back a little bit safe, and then you switch in hard and you're really close for the second half. Then when you swap over, and the other guy is really close on turn 1, but he loses a bit of proximity here because he was so aggressive, the other guy's going to win. Proximity on turn 1 is key. If you're sitting back, it just tells me that you're not comfortable switching into that guy and you haven't been watching him in practice. The points you get from turn 1 will override what's really going to happen on the second half. And if you want to put a bit of icing on the cake, this section here is the second most important. Because if you switched right here, then this bit you literally should be on the door and pretty much pushing him around the track at this point. That's the dominating bit. So you can dominate on turn 1, dominate on the exit here, show me that you're faster, and you've done everything else right to keep you with that car. Alright, so I think we don't have any questions at the moment. Come up and talk to us throughout the day. Thank you, Jason. One person liked it. Let's get a couple of these other little track issues out of the way.
Yep. Whereabouts the judging box is on the stand from?
So we're going to be sitting up on the corner here.
And also we'll get a the battle crew so we know what
I'm going to leave it up the front here, laid out.
Yep.
And so write down or take a photo of the people in your row.
Yeah. We'll post it on the event page as well. So if you guys keep an eye on the event page, we'll post up your standings for your rankings and also the battle crew as well.
Yeah, actually that's a good point. I'll just bring up one last thing. So what we're doing, every single battle will have notes. We're going to take so at the end of the 8 battles, we're taking a photo of this and putting it up on Facebook. It should be up within 5 minutes. So the moment you've done your battle, you'll know why you won or you didn't win. And one of the things I'd like is that everybody leaves here today with an idea of what they can do better next time. Because there's no point doing a battle and having no idea why you didn't win.
Is that battery getting open throughout the day as you guys watch on, or is
That's it. Yeah, done. And so we're just asking about whether the battle tree changes, and it doesn't. And here's why. Let's just say we actually put you a little bit lower than what you should be. You'll win your battle and you'll get back to where you should be. It just sorts itself out. So yeah, it's locked in now. Yep. Anything else?
Do 3 things. Put it together.